Welcome to another edition of First and 10 with Texas Wesleyan Rams head coach Joe Prud'homme. I'm Jimmy the St. Christopher. Well, the ghost of the Ottawa Spirit will no longer haunt the Texas Wesleyan Rams. Why? Because the Rams took care of Ottawa Saturday night at Crowley ISD with a 36-20 victory, their first win ever. Coach, you said at the luncheon last Friday, before the game, that last year you thought the Rams would win. Yeah. This year, you knew they were going to win. What made you a prophet?
Right. I guess I would say just the practices were just so outstanding. The preparation was so good. The plan was so good. The buy-in was outstanding. Our attack teams / scout teams were just phenomenal all week. And every practice we had a little bit of improvement. And the kids, the way they knew the game plan, they knew exactly what to expect. And they just had a confidence about them. It wasn't overconfidence. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't cockiness. They just had a real good grip on what needed to happen in order to win. And they went out and executed very, very well. I mean, we left points on the field, there's no question, and gave up some that we shouldn't have. But all in all, man, I was really proud of our guys. They played at a high level, and everything we talked about was don't get too high. Don't get too high, don't get too low. And I told them, expect to be successful, expect big plays, and take them either way. And whenever something doesn't go our way, you got to let it go. Just get to a high level of intensity and execution. Just stay there. Don't do the roller coaster. We've been bad about that in the past, but boy, we weren't for Saturday night. We pretty even keel.
Yes, sir, indeed. And how important was it getting out to the 13-0 and then the 22-7 lead at the half after Carson Rogers' 2 big touchdown passes to Bob, and then the electric flash Caesar run?
Yeah. Well, it was big. We didn't want to have to play from behind. That was a big deal. We did not want to have to play from behind. We thought, I told them, get a really fast start, but then have a faster finish. And there's going to be a point in every game that you ever play, if you're playing at a high level, you could feel the other team start to crack a little bit. You could feel like there's a time where they're vulnerable, and you have to capitalize. You have to really amp up your intensity, your execution. That's when you could just reach a little deeper. But coming out to that lead, that helped a lot. We was able to kind of exhale and just play, and that's what the guys did.
And Rogers was the Oklahoma Ford Dealers Player of the Week, and on the broadcast on Antler Sports Network, our offensive player of the game. I mean, had a heck of a game. How much has he improved in what you've seen so far in the 2 scrimmages and then the victory over Ottawa?
Dramatically. Coming out of spring, it was going to be Cole Francis. Cole had beat him out in the spring. And then the summer came, and Carson just really amped up his game and just took a huge step. His hot reads and his taking on that blitz in the first drive set the tone for the entire night. It really did. They couldn't attack us. They couldn't keep bringing heat. He was beating it. And that was going to be critical. And we knew that for the success of the game. But he studies so much. He executes so much. He understands what we're trying to do. And he was patient. And taking what they gave him was probably the key to the game. I just take what they give you. Opportunity rises, take it. His only bad play of the night was the interception. He threw off his back leg. And had he thrown to the corner and had full in the ball, they'd run in his face, and the receiver kept, that probably would have been a touchdown. But down there you got to play a little more conservatively, a little aggressive, but at the same time conservative. You got to be smarter, but you got to really bring your intensity as far as your execution. But man, he played well. His 2 decisions to run were exactly the right time and place to do that. I only saw him force maybe 1, and he's improved a lot.
Yeah, he was sharp. He was 18 out of 32 for 257 and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. How about that offensive line, the All-American offensive line? They kept Carson clean from a team that had sacked ACU 7 times the previous week.
The offensive line, their pass protections were great. The communication was great. We worked on it. We worked against the blitzes. We even drew up some blitzes that they didn't run. We were trying to bring it from every direction we could. So they really worked hard at picking it up, communication, and they did a great job. It was very hard to run the ball. Ernie made some things happen on his own. There were a few nice cracks, But man, the pass protection and the back stepping up in the pass protections were, you know, really good as well. But, you know, Carson and them were in such a rhythm. Everybody always wants to talk about when a quarterback gets in rhythm as far as with his receivers. He was in a great rhythm with the line. The way he would step up in the pocket, the way he would feel his way, keep his eyes downfield, buy time. That's a very underrated characteristic that people don't understand. So he was in rhythm with the O-line there. He knew when to throw, how to feel the pocket, and his pocket presence was probably the best I've seen since I've been here.
And another Oklahoma Ford Dealers Player of the Week on special teams was Garrett Blodgett. We've been talking about him for weeks, especially after the 2 scrimmages. He had 3 field goals, 3 extra point conversions. He did miss 1 field goal, but boy, 58.8 kickoff average. Every kick he was kicking it either on the top of the roof of the field house, or he was kicking it 8 yards deep in the end zone.
Yeah, he's got a great leg. He has got a great leg, and he was really cool the other night. I mean, he just went out and executed, and the one miss he had, I'll take blame for. That was on me. I froze him. I didn't mean to, but I froze him. We were trying to burn the clock. I should have kept him and Trejo over there next to me, the holder and kicker. Should have waited till the last 10 seconds, let him run out there, because he's a quick set. I mean, he gets set quick, and then he likes to kick it. I had him standing out there, and that was my mistake. He wouldn't have missed that if it had been. I mean, somebody got a hand on it, but you know, I should have just brought the team, the entire PAT field goal team over, held them, give them 12 seconds, 10 seconds, let them run out there, get set, and just kick like we normally do to stay in rhythm. So that was my fault. I mean, I own that one, but I won't do it again. I mean, that's something I learned from. But he's a weapon. He's flat out a weapon. You put him and Trejo, that's a potent punter-kicker duo. And they really feed off each other, which is really great. Trejo's been around the highest level of kickers there are in the nation, and he says Garrett's got a great leg. He said he's as good as a lot of those guys, but he gives them some confidence, some pointers, just some really approach type things mentally that helps Garrett. And Garrett's got all the tools, and he very calm. So it's good to hear them really have each other's back and to talk shop, because they both know what they're talking about. And Trejo's a tremendous holder. I mean, he held for Texas. He's pretty good. So. Yeah. And that calms down Garrett, because he knows the ball is going to be exactly where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be. He can just focus on just making great contact. But, man, he was crushing the ball.
And speaking of Daniel Trejo, the former Ram, former Longhorn, and now Ram again, 42.5 was his punting average along of 52, 2 within the 20. He didn't punt before, but how much did that experience in Texas help him turn into what looks like to be an all-world punter?
Well, it helped him a lot. I mean, fabulous coaching, fabulous everything, intense pressure, intense competition. He went there as like number 6. Wow. And worked his way up. And I mean, outworked him. And that's Daniel Trejo. He's a competitor. He's very optimistic. He's very positive. He has good confidence. He's not arrogant. He's not cocky, but he always believes he can outwork anybody competitively. And man, he did it there and came back. And you know, he wasn't very happy after the game as far as with his own performance. He was very excited for the team, but he just says, "Coach, I left a lot out there. I did not kick the way I need to. I'm going to work on it this week. I guarantee you, I will be better." And you know, I said, "Dan, just settle down, man. You were great. You were fine." He goes, "No, I need to drop it inside the 5. It needs to check." And it's great that he has that type of. I mean, that's when you have that type of expectation, and the great effort, you're going to meet a lot. I mean, he was about right here on where he thought he could be. So, I fully expect that he'll have a spectacular day coming up.
Yeah, last week you talked about Trejo and how much of a hard worker he is. He's always, doing something. He never stands still. I asked him if he had any hobbies or anything, if he played an instrument or if he liked movies or what his favorite food was. He says, "I'm just a worker." He says, he repeated basically what you had said about him last week, that he doesn't spend any wasted time. He's always practicing. He's always looking to get better. And boy, that was evident too. I was impressed with the kicking game, both from Trejo and from Blodgett. Defense, another thing that I was impressed about. Had some holes there, but what did you think of that defense? That I thought Ottawa had a quiet 416 yards. I mean, the closest they got was 13-7 in that first quarter. But that defense was just constantly pressuring, the recovered fumbles. I mean, you had to be happy, and you and Coach Duck had to be happy with
well, one thing, Duck's never happy. So let's get that. He was happy we won the game, but you know, he is his own and his unit's own biggest critic about what they can do better. But he did have a big smile on his face after the game, and you had a freshman make an interception in the end zone, big time play, Nick Williams. You take away their 2 long balls. They don't have much going on.
No.
I mean, there were no long break and runs like they've always got us in the past on.
Right.
They got the 2 big fade ball 9 balls. One was a little fake screen and then hit him up. Our deep safety took a step up. But 4 takeaways. I don't think we were offside all night. Very few penalties. We had one defensive holding. It was a good call. I didn't like it. I thought it was a little ticky-tack, but it was a good call. But to create the turnovers, and I think we stopped in 3 or 4 in the red zone, right there. I mean, close. Those goal line stands are huge, and that's a great offense that they were slowing down. And I thought the defense played really well, and we stayed with the 3-man line a lot, and we were getting pressure with the 3-man line, and that's pretty rare and hard to do. But man, Bott, Ibogan, those dudes, Kobe Adams had a great game. Zeno, you just keep going on. Bonilla was having a great game until he was out of the game, and then I thought Ashali Cannon came in and played really well, and it goes on. And Sincere Blackman, he had a bad week of practices.
Oh, wow!
And we're like, oh my gosh, our one big corner just doesn't feel it this week, and he went in and instantly grew up right before our eyes. He really took that big receiver out of the game. DeVicious, he didn't do much, and he came down on a couple of those little quick screens and made tackles. He had a really good tackle in front of our bench. He had a great game. And I thought the secondary, I mean, you got freshman, redshirt freshman, sophomore, another sophomore, and 1 junior. That's a young group, and the way they played, they didn't play young. They played with a lot of confidence, they almost played like they were veterans, and they just played. I was really happy with it. I really was.
Yeah, we named Bonilla the defensive player of the game, and it was between him and Cannon. What about Dalen Rogers, too? He had a good game.
Dalen's awesome, man. I love Dalen. Dalen he's aggressive. He's rangy. He gets to the ball. He has a great football IQ. Great football IQ. He's very tough. He's a good tackler. I mean, he had a great tackle down there in the red zone, I think on the 4-yard line or whatever. And he's just he's what you're looking for in a free safety. And he's a sophomore. He played because Elijah Hall got hurt last year when he broke his toe.
That's right.
And that's when Dalen came in as a true freshman out of Lamar High School. Man, he gets everybody lined up and does a really good job with it. And there's times where he's making checks and calls that goes against what Coach Duckworth wants, but they execute it. And like Duck always says, if you're going to change a call, you better make a play. Well, he does. And I think that speaks very highly of how much he's progressed in a year.
I know you're not responsible for the schedule, but we talked about last week about Ottawa being the first game of the season. I mean, 2 Titans in the Sooner Athletic Conference and the NAIA Top 25. But now that that's out of the way, does it get, I don't want to say harder or easier, but do you have to enforce the 1 game at a time thinking now after beating a nemesis that you hadn't beaten in 4 previous times? And you handle them. Like I said, they had a quiet 416 yards, but I never felt that they were ever in the game. I wasn't that impressed with them on offense either.
Yeah.
But do you have to kind of just focus on, well, North American, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, but a weekly thing rather than going on the accolades of what you did in this win?
Yeah, we kind of had a 36-hour rule. I mean, it's over. I opened practice last night. I said, that was a fun game, wasn't it? They were all nodding their heads, and I said, and it's over. Because we play really 10 seasons. We play 10 seasons. It's one game seasons. Because if we don't play this one and we don't do well, then we really put ourselves in a bind. So this season right now, we're concentrating on NAU. They've got our full attention. We know we got to go out and execute. And it's interesting. One of our quarterbacks looks like he's going to start for them from last year. So Kobe Gatson transferred there. He's from that area, Sealy.
Oh, so he's from,
really? Looks like he's going to be playing for them. He's listed on the depth chart as QB1. And he's got great arm talent.
Yeah.
He's got great arm talent. So we have to be ready to go. And he's a threat. He's a good player. I expect him to fully bounce back from last week. And if we don't take care of this week, then last week doesn't matter. But the biggest thing last week did was, for me personally, was relief. Yeah. You know, I really felt like I would be all ready to go home and, you know, have a beer or two, whatever. And I didn't. I was like, man, thank God it's over. You know, that was, our kids played hard, they played well, and it's out of the way. Now I don't have to worry about that game anymore. That game, and it's always a big game with a big shadow, you know, and now we don't have to worry about it. It's in the past. Now we can just focus on whatever's next, and, you know, we got a lot of great teams we got to play. Mm-hmm. But at least we can hopefully take some confidence with this from how we played against a really good team, and how we performed, and knowing that we left a lot of meat on the bone, that there's so much more we can do, that we can be much better, and we can be sharper. We got to tighten up all those little things with big results. And that's what I tell them all the time. If you do all those little things, big results. And we did a lot of things right the other night. We did some things not so right, but man, overall, focus, concentration, execution, effort, it was all there. That's all you can ask for.
What are some of the things that you didn't do too well that need to be improved on?
Got to score when you're on the 3-yard line. You just have to score. There has to be a huge ramp up in concentration. There has to be you have to really ratchet up your just your level of focus. I mean, you're down there, you can't make mistakes. You can't have a holding call. You can't have a push in the back. You can't throw a pick. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Defensively, when you're told to get your hands on as a DB, get your hands on the receiver. Slow him down. Nick Williams did that a couple times on our sideline when they had the big 6'5" DeVicious lined up on him, and he got his hands on him. The rush got there, and the ball went over DeVicious's head because the timing was altered. All those little things, if we can do that, we'll continue to improve, and we need to get better every week.
And you mentioned Kobe Gaston, the quarterback for North American for the Stallions. Who else do they have on offense, and how does their defense look?
You know, their defense is big. I would say their D-line is probably the best part of their defense. They've got some pretty good-looking receivers, some tall guys that can really move a little bit. They're going to be, you know, they played Wayland Baptist close all the way until, you know, late third quarter or mid third quarter, and then it kind of the wheels came off a little bit. But they're aggressive. They get to the ball, and we have to be able to match that intensity. We can't have any letdowns from last week, because last week's, at this point now, ancient history. Before it was just history on Sunday. Now it's ancient history. We've got to move on. So, because if we don't, they could really. Last year, I think it was 14-7 at the half. You know, I mean, that's to me, that's a level of concern that we have to address. I mean, we have to be ready to go.
Your friend Jeff Willett posted on Facebook the great soft shoer, or I don't know, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. He isn't, but anyway, you got into some dancing. Jeff posted that on Facebook. Go and pull up. Well, you shared it then too. Yeah. So you want to see Coach Joe? It was a wonderful celebration in the locker room. But you see those on, you know, ESPN and NBC and ABC and CBS and, you know, all the NFL games and the college games. They'll go into locker rooms and see guys dancing around. There's Joe, and you got lost in that sea of humanity. So anyway, we're talking before. How about if we make a deal? And if you're good with this, if the Rams win the Sooner Athletic Conference outright, we'll do a dance at the end of the season together on 1st and 10.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I was going to say if they go undefeated, but you know, who knows about that? But unless you want to do undefeated,
undefeated is good too.
Okay.
I'm going to keep high expectations.
Okay. Either or though. If they go 10-0.
Yeah.
And then if they go to the playoffs, does that include the playoffs? If they go to the playoffs?
I mean, if we win conference, we go to the playoffs automatically.
Right.
We've been able to get that rule in place.
That's right. Yeah. Cool.
So, no, I'm all for it.
Hopefully Joe and I will be dancing at the end of the season.
It was fun, man. I mean, they always give me a hard time because they always want me to dance with them. And, you know, I thought, hey, these dudes just went out and did exactly what we asked them to do. So I just got with them. It was fun. I mean, the energy was so high in that room, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost like the roof was starting to just lift up because they were so excited. And we all were. I mean, that's a load off our backs. I mean, you know, that thing has been tough. It's been a last play. Here we go. Last play. And it's just right up. And like you said, I mean, we controlled the game pretty well, so it wasn't as nerve-wracking as it has been. It was still nerve-wracking. I mean, I didn't take a breath until it was about 5-6 seconds left. I just don't. Yep. I mean, I don't have that luxury.
Crowley ISD Multipurpose Stadium, first official game. The Rams beaten Ottawa, Arizona, 36-20. There was a scrimmage the week before against John Melvin. But how much did that have an effect on the team and you think the win?
I think it definitely has an effect. I think our kids play at a higher level. I think their intensity is up a little bit. It was funny to watch, not funny, but kind of interesting to watch. The Ottawa players were coming in and they were just, I mean, looking at the venue like, wow. And I was talking to Coach Nesbitt before the game and he goes, yeah, I tried to tell my guys, this is Texas. The stadium, the venues, the facilities, they're just different. They're just different. He goes, and this might be one of the best ones in the state. And I said, make no mistake, in my mind, it is the best one in the state. Just by the way it's designed. It is so football-centric, like we talked about. It's a great fan experience. It's an even better player and coach experience because everything's right on top of you, you know, and you can feel the energy of everything going on. And it's just, it played a big part. And the band showing up, the Crowley band, they were great. Yep. I mean, it gave our guys a boost. It just made it for a great atmosphere. We have to have one of the best fan experiences, I would think, in the NAI. I don't know that for a fact, but I got to believe that we're way up there. The venue lends itself, and it was just, it was a great night.
Now, I understand that you and Gino Borchardt, the PA announcer for the Rams at the CISD Multipurpose Stadium in Crowley, you do the radio show from there?
Yes.
They have like a community booth or something?
Yeah, well,
that must be really neat.
Yeah, they're doing it at the community room that they do the Ram Pass and the little club area they have. We'll do it in there tonight, as a matter of fact, before I go to practice. So we practice at 7, and I think they're doing it at 5:30. So I'll go out there and do it and hook them back up and get practice done tonight. So yeah, it'll be cool. That's cool. Hey, every time I walk in that stadium, I'm happy. That place is just,
you and me both.
It is nothing but positive vibes and just a great scene. And the Crowley guys, I mean, you know, Greg Williams and all the guys out there do such a great job. I mean, the support staff they have, the way they put that together, Leon and all. I mean, there's just, you can go on and on with them, and I'm just thankful that they have us there. Yeah. And the way they treat us, they make it a great experience for our guys and our fans. And it's just, you show up, everything's handled so professionally, and then you get to leave, and you're not having to pack up a lot of stuff. And it's awesome. I love those guys out there.
You know, Gino and Colin and James McBride and Jared Jones of Antler Sports Network and myself are thankful to you. And I thank Ricky Dotson, the AD at Texas Wesleyan, when I saw him at the game on Saturday night, because it's night and day. Farrington, Crowley, Farrington, Crowley.
Well, and what's interesting is that Ricky and I were looking at different venues, and we had gone to some different places, and you know, he was like, well, you know, we need to make sure we see them all. And I said, no, we don't. I don't think so. Because I'd already seen it in person. And then once Ricky saw it in person, he walked out. We looked at each other. He goes, yeah, this is it. That's what Ricky said. I said, yeah, Ricky, you're right, man. This is it. He goes, we need to be here. This is a great. He goes, this is the one. I said, yeah. So we were trying to do our due diligence, but you know, sometimes you fall in love at first sight.
Yep. Yeah, I fell in love too. It was the second time. First time was with my wife 30-some years ago. But this is the second time. Definitely for a venue, too, as well. But and no game at Crowley this weekend. That's down. Where do they play down? Where are you going to play North America in Houston?
Stafford High School.
Is it Stafford High, which is a southwest suburb of Houston?
So it's not actually play down there in Houston. I think it's a 7 o'clock kickoff, and we got to bring it. Yep. And then we're back home, and OPSU. And then after that, it's the St. Thomas game.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big one too.
It's and they lost to Stetson, a D1 FCS, by 1 point. So we know we got our hands cut out. I mean, our hands are full and work's cut out for us. There are no deep breath and relief games. You just got to go play, man. You just got to go play.
So we won't have the game on Antler Sports Network, but I believe you can go to Ram Sports .net, and then go on the schedule, and then when you see this game over on the right-hand side, it'll be, you know, you'll see where they're playing North American. And I think, I looked at it just last night, they don't have watched the game yet, but hopefully they will. But we won't be on Antler Sports Network this weekend because we don't do road games, and we're not at beautiful CISD Stadium. But we will be in a couple weeks. Joe, go get them.
Yep.
We got to dance, so keep those wins coming.
Of course. We'll do all we can.
For Coach Joe, for Ricky Dotson, for Kenneth Flowers, James McBride, all their staffs, Jimmy the St. Christopher saying, so long, we'll see you next time on First and 10.